everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Kicherra Creates. If this is your very first time joining me today, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I am Kicherra Chisholm, and I am an artist and instructor, and I'm back today to do another painting tutorial with you all. And I'm just excited to be back. It's been a few days. I have been busy, but I'm back. So, I've been on kind of a abstract, kind of pop art kind of vibe lately, which is actually unusual because I typically draw flowers and still lifes and things like that. But I just kind of want to keep going with that theme. Just want to have some fun. Last time I referenced doing some more techniques such as splatter painting. So we're going to do a little bit of that today. Anyone that knows anything about me knows that I am a very feminine, girly girl, all that good stuff. So I love all things glitz, glam, sparkly, luxurious, all those beautiful things. So I randomly had the thought or idea today of like, let's do some gemstones. Why not? So my birthday is coming up next month and I'm already, you know, in that state of mind. So, since May, the birthstone for May is emerald, so we're going to do emerald. One, I love green. Green is one of my favorite colors. Oh, I didn't even realize I'm wearing green, but I love green. So with that being said, yes, our stone today is going to be an emerald. And instead of doing a real complex or realistic gemstone, I'm going to make it a little bit more fun and more simplistic for you guys today. So we are going to be incorporating some different tools than we typically do. For today, you guys are going to need a ruler or a yardstick, some painter's tape, just regular traditional blue painter's tape. If you don't have any painter's tape, you can use Scotch tape as well, whatever, any kind of paint. As long as it's secure enough to stick to the canvas, you can use that. You'll need a pencil as well and some scissors. The scissors are going to be for the tape so that when you tape out your image, your lines are nice and crisp and all of that good stuff. So, we are still going to paint the background first, like Lord, I can't talk, like we traditionally do. However, since this is going to be more of a abstract kind of pop art feel, I want to go ahead and put my painter's tape out first. So we're going to go ahead and do that and kind of grid out the shape of our emerald first. Then we're going to do the background. Then we can remove the tape and start working on the definition or the color of the emerald and all that good stuff. So now that I've gotten all that talking out the way, let's go ahead and get started. And like I said, I'm just excited to be back today. So let's just get our paint on. So let me get my pencil and my yardstick. Now, since we are going to grid this out first, since we are using the painter's tape, don't worry too much about any lines on the canvas because we're actually going to do, oh, I didn't even tell you guys. So the theme that I came up today with is kind of like a diamond in the sky or something along those lines. So we are going to actually do the background black and we're going to do some splatter painting techniques to give the appearance or the illusion of some stars, some kind of cosmic, whatever you want to describe it going on. So we're going to do that first, especially since it's black. You don't have to worry about any lines or whatever being on your canvas. So I got my yardstick, I got my pencil. Let's get started. So this canvas is 16 by 20, which is the canvas that I typically use. Every once in a while, I use a smaller canvas or a larger canvas, but for the majority of the time, this is the size that I'm going to be working with. This is the size that I'm used to working with. I like to paint on a larger scale, especially when I'm instructing. So this is the size we're going to use. So more talking, I know, but I'd rather explain everything to you guys so you guys can go ahead and get started than be wondering what's going on. So since this is 16 by 20, I'm going to break or mark off the middle of the canvas. So right at the 10 mark, I'm just going to put a line of demarcation I'm going to do the same thing at the top also, right at the 10s. And then line both of your little marks of demarcation together, and do a straight line. All right, so that just represents that that is the middle of the canvas. So I want the top of the diamond to be maybe about 1.5 inches off the canvas. That way there's still a little bit of space at the top. We're going to do the same thing at the bottom. About 1.5 inches. There we go. All right, all right. So I'm just going to go ahead and just do a line. The same down here. If you want to be even more particular, if you don't feel like you can just eyeball the straight line or whatever, then you can do your lines of demarcation on the sides and then go back and touch it up. But hey, that is what it is. All right. So I want to start my diamond, or excuse me, my emerald. We're not doing diamonds, we're doing emeralds. We're focused on green today. So I want to start my diamond up here. Now, I want us to have a good amount of space on the sides as well. So right up here at this line at the top where we're going to start to do our lines, I'm going to mark off 2 inches. There and there. That way I know my diamond's going to start right here on this line and it's going to eventually come down to that line. You know what? Instead of doing 2 inches, I think I'm going to do 2.5 inches. There we go. And like I said, don't worry too much about there being lines and all that good stuff. We're just gridding it out. So let's go ahead with the painter's tape. And since the tape is kind of thick, I want to go ahead and start with my first line before I go ahead and draw out the rest of the emerald. So you're going to need scissors because since this is going to be an emerald or any kind of gem cut or whatever gem you decide to do, you want your lines to be smooth or have a straight edge or whatever you want to call it. So I'm just going to start literally underneath that line. And go ahead and pull your tape out until you get to 2.5 inches on both sides. And go ahead and cut. I recommend that you use scissors, like I said, that way your lines are nice and straight. All right, perfect. You know what? I think I might want to take it in again. Let's see. How many inches did I do? So that's right at, all right. Oh Lord, I lost my pencil. And I'm about to break my canvas, but hey, it is what it is. So this one, that's it. instead of doing 2.5, I'm gonna do 3 inches. You might think that little 1/2 inch doesn't matter, but it does, because we're gonna do a larger line here. I know I might be being difficult, but I'm going with the flow. So I think I'm gonna change that even some more. So we're gonna do 4 inches. I'm not changing anything after that, I promise. 4. Perfect. All right. So we're going to do 4 inches at the top. Put my tape down, pick my tape up. Even more reason why I wanted to start the tape first, because this is the sketching out part, the drawing it out part, all that fun stuff. Try to get your lines as straight as possible. Since we're doing the background black, we can always go and touch up later, so don't be too picky or too hard on yourself about it. All right. So I'm glad we still actually have these grid marks down here, because let me use my ruler again. We got 4 inches on both sides. All right, which makes this 12 inches, because this is 20 inches. So I want to come down. Well, let's do this line first. So I'm gonna do this line first. Gonna just start the one right here and come down. I'm thinking 4 inches. And this was at 4, yep, 4 inches. So we're going to come out to 2 inches. So you want it to be 2 inches. We're doing 4 inches down, and then at the 2 inch mark. And let's connect that line. There we go. All right, more tape. Y'all, I need to get a better setup. I know I'm probably all over the camera screen, but it is what it is. So this already has a nice straight line. Start underneath that line that you drew. Start underneath it. And carefully follow that line. Smooth it out as you go so the tape doesn't buckle and it's exactly where you want it to be. When you get to the end, use your scissors and try to get a straight line when you cut right there. Perfect. So I'm just going to come off the sides right here and connect that. I'm not going to be super picky about that. So I'm just going to start where that line of demarcation is. Okay, maybe I'm going to cut this tape first. Sorry if I'm out of the frame of the camera, but I'm sure you guys can still see what I'm doing. So right there where that line meets, and see, this is why it's important that you have scissors, because we're going to clean up that line. We're going to cut where the tape overlaps right there. There we go. And I want to put a little piece of tape right here too. I can get it on the canvas smoothly. Really, tape? Why are you being difficult? Alright, and there's a little piece that's sticking up right here that's not quite even with that line, so I'm going to cut that too. I need to put another little piece of tape right there since it doesn't want to stick. There we go. Close enough. This is my fault because I peeled that up by accident, but hey, it is what it is. Alright, anyway, that took way too long. We're going to do the next thing on the next side. You guys bear with me. I am still new to YouTube. I'm trying to get it all situated. I need to fix my setup and all that, because it should not have taken me this long to do this. But I'd rather be over thorough than have you guys not knowing what's going on. So I'm just going to cut off a little piece. We'll put my tape over there instead of stepping in y'all's way. I'm going to start at that top line again and bring it down, which I did pretty good that time. There's only a little teeny tiny piece that I needed to cut off. Let me step back, double check, double check. Okay, looking good, looking good. Now, we are going to bring some lines down at the corners right here, which is not complicated. The rest of this is going to flow nicely. So I'm just going to go ahead, pull off a good amount of tape. I'm going to come from this corner, and you want it to meet right here. Don't worry about cutting that yet. Go ahead and mimic that same thing on the other side. Let's go ahead and cut a piece off. There we go. Just going to trim up where it overlaps so it's smooth. Like I said, you don't have to be too super picky about it because the background is going to be black. So if we need to touch up anything, we can definitely do that. Perfect. That's good enough for me. Now, we're going to do just a little bit more to this. And then we can get started painting. To be honest, this is really not going to be a long painting. Honestly, taping everything out and making sure everything is smooth is probably going to take the longest amount of time. Always doing your composition and setting everything up. I'm always really particular about that because I want everything to look proportionate. I want my composition to look well. It just makes it look more professional instead of having crooked lines and it just looking like you just threw everything on there. So, we're going to use, of course, some more tape. So, I'm going to get my ruler because, like I said, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to eyeball it because everything's already basically level. But I'm going to start right here and do a triangle out to the side. And then we'll do another one. So, I'm just ripping the tape this time. We're going to start right at the side. Let me measure it off. I am going to actually measure it. Let's see. Okay, that's right at 2 inches. Oh, wow. That's actually perfect. I did that perfectly. All right. Again. If you don't feel confident just eyeballing it like I am, then make you another line of demarcation. These are 2 inches apart. I'm even going to double check it just to make sure. Like I told you, I am pretty much OCD, so I like things to be accurate. And I'm gonna smooth that one over just a little bit. Just a touch. And see, I should have just went ahead and marked it out, because then I'd be done already. Perfect. All right, and just like with everything else, cut where it overlaps so it's nice and smooth. I've got painter's tape everywhere now. Up here too. All right. So the next one I am just gonna eyeball, because I'm just gonna do from the corner here to there. So I'm just gonna put it in the corners. There we go. Almost done. All right. Like we did with the rest of it, let's clean those lines up. And then we can get started with all the fun stuff, all the splattering, all that good stuff. All right. And we're going to do another one going there. And then we're done. Then we can start with our background. Typically, it would not have taken this long, but we're doing a lot of talking, trying to make sure that I explain everything to you guys nicely. So I'm going to start down here at the bottom where that angle meets, and bring it up here to where that triangle, to the edge of that triangle right there. Same thing on the other side. All right. Cut all the extra so your lines are nice and smooth. Right there is good. Down here, don't forget, because you want that emerald to come nice at a point. All right, there we go. We have an emerald or diamond, sapphire, ruby, whatever you want it to be. Thank God we're done with the painter's tape. Usually when I do more abstract things, I kind of just throw the paint down, but it is what it is. So, like I mentioned, we are going to do more of a kind of a diamond or emerald in the sky kind of theme. So, all in here, I'm just going to do black paint. And where the tape is, that's where all the green's going to be. So this is going to be a nice, fun painting. It's not going to be too complex. Gridding it out was probably the hardest thing that we'll do today. So I'm just using my 1-inch flat brush. And I'm going to use a 1-inch flat brush instead of a large brush, since Since I'm doing black, I want to be kind of particular. Even though we taped everything out, I don't want black to be in the areas where I don't want it or need it to be, because I don't want to have to go back and fix it. But if you have to, that's fine. So I'm using my 1-inch flat brush with some black paint. I added a little bit of water to it just to make sure it's not too thick. Black paint and white paint is really opaque, so it tends to be a little bit thicker than all the rest of the colors. So you typically have to grit it out more. I mean, excuse me, thin it out more than usual. So as you can see, I kind of sketched around it with the black and then filled it in. Make sure you didn't thin out your paint too much, because you want it to be nice and thick. That way you don't have to go back over it and do any more coats. So you want to go around and then fill in the sides. See? Already making progress. Just fill in all the white spots of your canvas. It's literally that easy. Don't think too much about it. Just fill it in with black paint. Make sure the black paint is nice and solid. You don't see any of the canvas underneath, and you guys are good to go. And another thing about this technique is you don't have to be too worried about your strokes going the same way or whatever, because we are literally painting over all of this black. And you're not really going to be able to see it because we're going to do some splatter painting techniques to add the appearance of some stars and stuff like that. Now, when your brush kind of gets like this and it gets kind of stiff and it's hard to paint with it, then you do want to wet your brush a little bit, but wipe off the excess water, because like I said, you don't want this to be too thin at all. You want to try to get it all done in one coat with this black. That way we're not going back and having to do another coat. Just make for even a quicker painting, especially since I talk to you guys way more than I usually do trying to get everything set up. But hey, it is what it is. I'd rather be overly thorough and you guys know exactly how to achieve this painting and techniques and all of that than to just rush through it and you guys to have no idea what I just did. And see, even me as an artist, I still am always growing and learning. I love to watch other artists as well. And when it came to me starting my own channel featuring painting tutorials, it was really important to me to do these tutorials in real time. Because a lot of times when you watch the time-lapse tutorials, I think they're great for just looking at and admiring the artwork. But when you really want to learn the technique and the progress or process, excuse me, it can be kind of hard to get all of that instruction on such a short video with no words or anything explaining how you mixed your colors or how you did your strokes or anything like that. Which is why I decided to get on here and allow you guys to see the entire process. Also, as an artist, it's important for me to show people exactly how much time it actually takes to paint all of this. I don't know why some people just think that, oh, you're a good artist. Oh, wow. And they just think that you create stuff in an hour or so. And that's not the case, especially when I'm doing my own like custom commissions and things of that nature, paintings that are in particular for someone or a cause. They usually take me anywhere between 6 and 10 hours. People don't realize that. That's how long it takes to make some of these paintings. Like these tutorials, of course, all these paintings are for sale as well. And they're beautiful as well, but they're nowhere near as complex as I can do. I'm picking these paintings that I'm doing on this channel to show you guys, one, that it is possible for you guys to learn how to paint and to learn technique quickly, that it's easy for you to go ahead and start making beautiful pieces once you understand that process. But these paintings usually only take about an hour and a half, 2 hours, but even that is a good amount of time. People don't see that. They're like, oh, she's good at art. She's always been an artist. No, it takes time and patience. That is the reason why I am showing you guys the whole entire process, real time. You can see how long it actually takes to create this. That's another thing I feel like a lot of people, they watch tutorials and things, they get excited to try it, and once they get into it, they get discouraged because they don't understand why it doesn't automatically look the way they expected it to look. Painting is about layers. It takes time. It takes patience. You have to do it one coat at a time. It doesn't just miraculously happen. So I'm getting the sides, the bottom, and the top of the canvas as well. And I'm really not explaining anything too much because, as you can see, I'm just painting with black paint. That's kind of self-explanatory. I should not have to explain that to anyone. Might step over here just for a second. Sorry if I'm not in the frame of the canvas, just to make sure I've got the top, the sides, and the bottom nicely painted. All right, I got the sides and all that done. So let me get some more paint. Usually I don't use this much black paint, but hey, we're clearly doing the whole background today, so that's what we're going to do. Saturate my brush with just a little bit more water to thin out some of that black paint, just so it spreads a little easier. And when we're done, it's literally going to look like you just have a plain black canvas, which is what you want. You know, I know my canvas isn't, my easel isn't super sturdy either, so I know it's wobbling around, but it is what it is. Like I said, I'm just getting started, so bear with me. It won't be like this for long, I promise. Like I said, I've been working just for you guys. Come up with new content ideas, all of that good stuff for you all, so we can keep painting and learning and having fun and all that good stuff. And you guys, if you do, or when you do any of these tutorials and you want to share them, then please do. You can send me pictures on my Facebook, my Instagram, my email. I would love to see how you guys' tutorials, or paintings come out. Now, I always say this because these colors and everything that I use are more like a guide or a reference. You do not have to use the exact same colors that I'm using. I chose an emerald. Emerald's my birthstone. My birthday is next month, so hey, I'm doing an emerald. But if you wanted to do any other stone, then you could definitely do that. Don't feel like you have to do what I'm doing. You can literally use the same exact technique with different colors. And today I'm using more just plain the primary colors. I feel like that's better to show you guys a little bit more color mixing and all of that. So I literally just have blue, yellow, red. I always like to have a little bit of green and black and white. That's what we're using today. You can pretty much, well, not pretty much, you can absolutely make any color with those colors. But when it comes to doing browns, I like to kind of use a base and then mix and match it, because mixing browns and flesh tones with the primary colors is possible, but it could be kind of difficult, especially when you're trying to instruct other people on how to do it. So we are going to make some stars. So I'm going to use that same brush. You could use a larger brush if you want to, but the larger the brush, the more messy it's going to get. So I did not wipe off the water for this. I just went right into the white paint. Like I said, white is pretty thick too. White paint is pretty thick. So I'm kind of just diluting it. And I am going to take that brush, this brush, and I am actually going to do little motions like this and start to flick the paint. And kind of spread your brush out so you get a little bit everywhere. Don't forget the sides and the top of your canvas too. It just looks nice, looks more professional. I'm gonna thin this out some more. And this is what I was excited for. It's so funny because I do not like to get messy at all in real life, but when it comes to paint, I like to have fun. But as soon as I'm done, I'm like, okay, this stuff's gotta go. That's why I usually don't keep my nails done, because when I get done painting, I'm like scrubbing my nails, and it ruins them. All right, just doing more splatters with the white paint. And look at my hands. See, that's what I mean. That's why I'm always scrubbing my hands. Accidentally touched the canvas right here with the white paintbrush. I'm gonna just touch that up with some black paint. Now, I'm gonna keep adding white. And kind of just keep going with it. I want some places to be heavier, so you notice in some places I'm doing it more, other places I'm kind of just adding little touches. But I want this whole thing to have little stars on it, or white paint on it to represent some stars. Let's get some more going down here. Don't neglect the sides. They want some love too. This side also, top, bottom. And of course, I did the same thing right here. Accidentally touched it, so just gonna cover that up with some more black paint. Don't worry about it too much, because I'm gonna go back over that one little spot and add some more splatters to it. All right, now I want to add some more colors to this starry night sky. So I'm going to do a pale yellow. So I'm just going to use some yellow paint and add some white into it. I don't want it very bright at all though. I still think that's a little bit too bright. Okay, I think I like that. You don't want it so light to where it looks white. You want it to look different than the white paint you just put down on there. All right, using the same brush, same technique, nothing different. We're gonna add some splatters. And see, if it's hard to splatter like that, then you need more water on your brush. You need to dilute that paint some more. All right, there we go. Just start playing around with it, adding some here, there, everywhere. And I didn't make this as thin because I wanted to make sure there were some areas where you have bigger stars and smaller stars. They're not all the same size. You want some of this color on the sides too. Add some more water. See, this is just gonna be fun, I promise, and easy. Anybody can use a ruler and put down some tape and flick some paint around. It's not too complicated. And like I said, this is more so wanting to introduce you guys to another technique, the splattering, and incorporating some more geometric shapes or more abstract feel by incorporating some of the painter's tape as well. I'm adding more water to that color, thinning it out some more. All right. And look at my hands. Look at that. If your hands look like that, it's all good. Just keep a towel beside you. You'll be all right. If there's ever any spot where your paint was too thin and it starts to run, just go over top of it with some of the black paint. Voila, can't even tell. Perfect. So I think I want to do a purple as well. Thinking about a purple, a blue, and a lavender too. I just pick up my cup, make sure my brush is nicely clean. So we are going to make a lavender, maybe not as light as a lavender, but a lighter purple. So we're going to use some white paint, some blue paint, and some red. It takes red and blue to make purple. Add some more red into that. A little bit more blue. And I'm just playing around until I get a shade of purple that I think will look nice. Ooh, too much blue. Let's add some more red. There we go. Most of the time I mix with a smaller brush, but since this is the brush that we're using, and we're just going to kind of dilute that paint with some water, I'm not being too fussy. Now, same thing, that brush, thinning out that paint, not too thin. If you do like this and the paint is dripping, then it's way too thin. All right, y'all ready for some more splatter fun? Because I am. Let's do it with this purple. Let's get it going. I'm going to add some touches of that purple here and there. And I just love how the colors start to blend and play together. Let's add a little bit more water on that brush. That purple's kind of thick. Whenever you add white into a color, it becomes pretty thick. And see, this purple isn't too bright. It's standing out against the black, but it's not too light. It blends in with that black nicely. There we go. I added some more water onto the brush so I can get a little bit more splatters of that color on the sides, top, bottom also. See, this is why I need to be in the art studio. Then I don't have to be too picky, trying not to get paint everywhere. Then it doesn't matter. And you guys, if y'all are in the Charlotte, North Carolina area or the surrounding area, then you can definitely come and paint with me in person at my Paint and Sip Art Studio. I've been the resident artist at Carolina Creative Expressions for, it'll be 4 years in June. Geez, 4 years goes by fast. But if you guys are interested in doing a live painting party with me, I've got the website and everything linked below. Just let me know. We can get that set up. Also, all of these paintings for my tutorials are available for purchase. If you are interested in good Lord, I cannot talk today. Purchasing any of my original pieces, just email me. My email is kicherra@gmail.com. It's linked below as well. And I'm almost done, almost done with my website, getting all of that situated so that you guys will also have the opportunity to purchase prints from me as well, and other merchandise featuring my artwork also. So you guys, please, please, please help and support me so I can keep this going, so I can keep sharing creativity and joy and beauty and all that good stuff with you guys. That would mean so much to me. And if you have not already subscribed, please, please, please make sure you do so. That way you will not get to miss any of these fun tutorials or techniques or anything that we are incorporating. All right. So I've been doing all that talking, but making a light blue, just blue and white. That's it. Same brush. Going ahead in advance and watering it down while I was talking to y'all. Now, same thing, nothing different. Here, some there. Some of this blue paint everywhere. You know, I'm gonna have to get a tapestry or something to hang right here so I don't keep getting paint everywhere. I don't want paint all on my walls. I already had to scrub my hands down. I don't want to be scrubbing the walls down too. All right, dilute that a little bit more. Let's get some more blue up in there. There we go. Make sure I get the sides. And some on the top as well. There we go. So what did I say? Let's do a green also. No, we're not going to do green because the emerald's green. I did purple, blue, white, yellow. We'll do a little bit of orange and then we'll leave it alone. Still using a flat brush. This one's a little bit smaller, but it's just the first one I grabbed. Gonna add a little bit more yellow into that lighter yellow that I made. Add some red into it. A little bit more red. When it comes to yellows and stuff like that, oranges, I try not to add white to it until I know for sure that I'm going to need to, because I don't want to make it pastel. I just want to lighten it up. You can always go back and add more white if you feel like you need some. It's a lot easier to lighten up a paint color than it is to darken it. So add white little by little. So I got an orange going. The same thing, thin it down just a little teeny tiny bit. All right. Let's see, that's giving a little bit different technique or texture, but that's what makes just splattering the paint around pretty fun. You don't know exactly what you're going to get. That makes it more interesting, more abstract, all that fun stuff. And I don't want to add too much orange, just I felt like we needed some more pops of color. I did not want to get this glob of orange right there, so I'm going to take some of that off. And like I did before, I'm just going to cover over that with some black paint. And just add some more splatters over top of that. There we go. I think I'm going to do a pink also, and then finish back up with some more of the white. So I'm actually going to use that same brush and just add some white, lighten it up a lot, add a little bit of red to it. This is going to make a brighter pink. It's got a good amount of white in it, so it's going to be a light pink, but it's not going to be too pastel, which is the reason why I used it with the orange that was already on there. So now we get a nice kind of coral pink color. We're going to use this, then I'm going to have to get some more white paint, and then we'll be done doing all of our splatters. Of course, I need more water. You know what? I think I'm going to add more red anyway. A little bit more white. There we go. I like that. And I'm not adding a lot of this color anywhere. I just want to add some more color variation. Like I said, we're going to kind of finish off with the white. All right, with paint all over my hands, wipe them off just a little bit while I get some more white paint. Here's the brush that I just had. And do the same thing that we've been doing with the white. Kind of water it down some. I know I'm going to need some more white after this too when we start on the green for the emerald. But all right. And next time that we do kind of a night sky, I'll incorporate some clouds. But I didn't want it to be too complicated, but I still wanted to give that effect or that illusion of an emerald or a diamond or a stone, whatever, in the sky. Some cosmic gems going on, all that good stuff. All right. Now, let's start peeling some of this tape off. Look at there. If the lines aren't 100% crisp, don't worry about it because we can touch this up. We are going to add green to all of this for our emerald. Just peeling the tape off. Peeling the tape off. Nothing fancy. Look at there. You have the outline of a diamond or a gem or emerald or whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to start with just a dark green all over this bad boy. So I'm actually going to use my round brush. I typically use my round brush the majority of the time. Not used it today, but we're going to use it for this. So we're going to use some of our base primary green. I'm going to add some red into it. You only need a little bit of red. The more red you add into this green, the darker it's going to be. So add it little by little. You can always darken it up. It is a lot harder to lighten it. Well, no, not necessarily, but you don't want it to be too light. All right, so I've got a pretty nice dark emerald green, and I'm just going to literally paint inside. Don't worry too much if you accidentally touch any of that black or any of those splatters that we use, because like I said, or sorry, not use, but that we created, because we're going to most likely have to go back and touch up anyway. So, and this is just a base coat, so I'm kind of just throwing the paint down. You do want to try to get it all the way up to the line. Don't worry too much if you accidentally touch any line at all. So go ahead and get your paint down, and then we'll go back over it and smooth out any lines that need to be smoothed out. And we'll start adding more color variation into this. Okay, add a little bit more water to my brush. And this is just a base coat, so it does not need to be perfect. Hope I'm not moving too fast, but I'm just trying to get it covered up. Nothing fancy about this. We're just coloring in all the white areas with the green. And typically when it comes to painting, you typically start dark to light, so that's what we're doing. We might go back and add, well, not might, we will go back and add some darker shades here and there just to give contrast and shadow and all that good stuff to the painting. But as of right now, we're putting down a nice base coat. All right. Still doing the same thing, just cover up all the white parts of the canvas with that green color. Don't be too overly picky about if you accidentally touch any of the background. You can always go back and touch it up. Right now, I keep saying it, we're just filling in those white areas with our base coat of green for our emerald. And I'm not going to touch up any of the black at all until the end, until the very, very end. Which is why I keep saying don't worry too much if you touch any of those little corners. Get some more water on my brush. All right. Sorry, I got a little quiet. It's concentrating. But still, same thing. Just filling in the white parts of the canvas with this base color green that we're putting down. Now right there, I did go down further than I wanted to. I'm just going to take a clean brush with a little bit of water and clean that line up. See? Piece of cake, piece of pie. Super easy. almost done with the green. Now I'm just going to go back and kind of smooth out those lines, make the strokes kind of look like they're going in at least similar directions. Mind you, like I said, this is a base coat, so don't be too particular about it. Get a little bit more border on my brush. Dilute that paint some. If you kind of mess up your point down here too, like I said, don't be too picky about it, because we're going to go right back over top with the black to touch up any of those areas. And I'm just kind of smoothing out the lines and doing another coat of that base tone for the green. All right, our emerald in the sky is coming along. So I'm gonna add some lighter greens first, and then I think I'm gonna touch up with some of the darker greens. So I need more yellow paint. I'm just gonna add a good amount of yellow into that green that I was already using. I don't want it a neon green, but I wanted a brighter green shade. There we go, I think I like that. So, kind of a green like that. I'm not gonna go and cover up everything that we just did, but I'm gonna add kind of touches of that green here and there. See, I'm not covering up the whole thing. I'm just adding some of that to each little area. Like I said, I want this painting to be fun and simple, not too complicated or confusing or anything like that. All right, keep adding. All right, I'm gonna let that dry a little bit. I said that and then I'm still messing with it. Actually, let me take a step back and look at it. Okay, I'm liking it. Oh, and you guys, please, 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 please share ideas and suggestions with me as well. So if there's something that you've always been interested in painting or learning how to paint or anything like that, please let me know. Give me ideas. let me know some things that you guys would want to see on this channel. I am open for suggestions. So I said I was gonna let this dry, but like I said, painting's about going with the flow. Going with the flow. So I used that lighter green that I made and add some more yellow to it, and did make more of a lime green. I added a little teeny tiny bit of red to it to kind of get this kind of tone. And I'm just gonna add some touches of that color here and there too. See, I'm just adding some in each little area, but I'm not covering up the whole lines or anything like that. I'm layering colors, like I keep saying, layer, layer, layer. All right. On that same brush, I'm dipping it into a little teeny tiny bit of red to add some darker tones too. And doing that same thing, adding a little bit here and there, nothing too fancy. All right, clean that brush off a good amount. Let me step back from this one more time. Let me look and see. Okay. I'm going to add a bright yellow. So I'm going to use the yellow that I have, but I'm going to lighten it with just a touch of white. I'm going to put just a touch of green in there too. Just a little bit. But I still want it to look mostly yellow. Maybe a little bit more green. There we go. Now I'm going to be a little bit more strategic about this one. I'm not going to do as large of areas. See, just a little here and there. Blend it out if you feel like you put too much in one spot. Step back one more time. And I'm going to go in with some more, with that same light yellow on my brush. I'm going to add a little bit more green and kind of touch up any areas where I feel like I want to blend out those colors some more. All right, so I'm going to get a smaller round brush. Not as small as a liner brush, but a pretty small round brush. And we're going to outline all of this so that it's nice and smooth. If you don't have the patience, or if you just don't feel like outlining with paint, some people like to do a Sharpie, but I don't think it looks as professional. And I don't think your lines get as smooth, but to each its own. Like I always say, black and white paint is very, very thick or very, very opaque. So it takes a good amount of water to thin these color out, especially if you want thin, smooth lines. You want it like an ink consistency or texture. See how I just keep thinning it out And I'm twisting my brush so that paint is nice and smooth on my brush. And I'm just going to touch up and make these lines nice and crisp. So any area where the tape didn't cover all the way, or where you went out the lines a little bit too much, go ahead and cover those areas up. Of course, you are going to cover up some of those splatters that you already did. That is fine. It's more important to make sure your lines are nice and straight. You can't have a crooked emerald or diamond or anything like that. If you did, you'd have to take it back. All right. More water. I didn't thin it out enough. There we go. I'm gonna touch up the areas on the inside first, then touch up the areas on the sides. You don't have to be too precise. I doubt anyone's gonna come up to your painting with the ruler, but you just want to kind of make sure your lines look nice and smooth and crisp. You just want it to look nice. And I'm just going along where I need to cover up those lines or any little spot. Down here I am gonna clean up that point right there. All right, straighten it up on this side too. I'm just cleaning up the lines. I'm cleaning up all the little areas inside. And then we'll do everything around. This is just going to make it look more professional, more put together. And these don't have to be too picky either, because we're going to have a little bit of fun with those also. One thing that I love about acrylic paint in particular is that it dries really fast. And it's really forgiving because of that. So if you make a little mistake or anything like that, let it dry for a few minutes and you can literally paint right over top of it. And painting is not about perfection. It's about just having fun and expressing yourself and being creative. And it is a stress reliever. I love to just use painting as a medium to clear my mind and de-stress and just have some me time. Chill out and all that good stuff. So I'm just touching up around. Try to be mindful that you don't go into any of the green areas that are still wet. Like I said, if you do, you can just let it dry and we could touch it up, but just try not to if you can. You might prefer to use a flat brush because it has a flat edge, but a round brush are just my brush of choice, my favorite. And we used the flat brush enough when it came to the background. Fan it out some more with some more water. Make sure you touch up each little triangle or whatever you want to call it, each little area in between the diamonds and all around the emerald as well. Oh no, I've got emeralds, diamonds, sapphires, rubies, all of that on my mind. Whichever you want to paint, send me one. A real one though, not a painting. Definitely an emerald. Be my birthday gift. Alright. Now finally this side. Then I'm going to step back from it for a little bit and see what all I would like to add to this. So let me step back. Okay, I'm liking that. All right, all right. So I'm using that same smaller round brush, just getting some green, add a little bit of red to it. We want a deeper green than the green we started with. If you add too much red to your green, it will turn brown. If you feel like it's starting to get too dark, add a little bit of yellow in it. Don't add white to it unless you want a pastel color. I'm adding a little bit of yellow to brighten that up, and I think I like that. And dilute it some. And right in here, I'm just gonna add some little strokes of green. I'm not taking it all the way to that line. I'll do that same thing right in here. I'm not touching the line, and my paint's not too thick either. I'm lightly adding that green. I kind of laid it out, and then I'm going to push the paint out some. Not covering up anything all the way, just adding some of that color. Which is even more reason why I said don't be too picky about if it's perfect in the background or in the middle or anything like that. Now, I'm going to do some darker shades over here too, but I'm going to have them go in the opposite direction. So as you see, I kind of put the paint down and then spread it. I'm not taking it all the way to the bottom or all the way to the top. And then I'm spreading it out. The ones in the middle, I'm kind of doing a little bit on both sides, but I want it more green focus on the left side. And you can pull it up a little if you want to. So on the top of your diamond, that darker green's going to the left, a little bit in the middle. On the bottom, it's going towards the right. Let me step back again. And I'm going to actually brighten that up by using a brighter green. I'm going to get a good amount of yellow, some of that dark green that I just had. but with a good amount of yellow to it. More yellow. Kind of like that similar green that we had earlier. Excuse me. Gonna add some of that in those areas. I'm gonna kind of just put it down. Dilute my brush some and just spread that paint out some. Like I said, we're just putting a touch of the color here and there. And spread it out. And you guys, I don't think I'm gonna add too much to this. We're getting to that point to where let's get into the end. Same thing, kind of putting a little down on the sides and then just blending it in. There we go. And I'm gonna do more of a vivid green. I'm gonna add just some of the base green into that green we were just using. So it gives us this nice kind of light green color. I'm gonna water it down a good amount and do that same technique that we just did. We're just layering. Make sure your paint's not too thick. Blend it out. You do not want to cover up all that shading or all those layers that you did before. We're just adding to that. Up here at the top, we're going to add some of that brighter green too. And like I said, this is more just a fun piece. It's not overly realistic or anything like that. It's kind of just whimsical and fun. Or emerald in the sky, whatever you want to call it. Your emerald, ruby, sapphire, whatever you're painting over there. Some cosmic gems going on. Some cosmic gems. Step back again. All right. I'm gonna start adding some white highlights in here. And then we're basically done. Don't want to keep y'all too long. I really just wanted to introduce you to the splatter painting techniques and incorporating some other tools like the painter's tape and things like that. So with the white paint, I've already got it pretty thin on my palette, but I'm going to go ahead and thin it out some more because I do not want this white paint really thick over top of the green areas. I want it really thin. And I'm kind of just going to do little scratching motions in the same areas in between where we added that green. And on this side too, sometimes I like to do a little line and then kind of spread it out. You don't want to be able to see exactly where you laid out your line though. Same thing up in here, adding some of those touches of white. I think in here I am going to touch out with a little bit of a darker green too. And see, I left that space in between. I did not take anything all the way to the corners. So let me step back again. All right, I like that. I want to add some areas of darker greens, and then we'll do some touches of some more black and white, and then I'm going to call it a day. I'll just add the base green and a little bit of red just to make a nice traditional dark green. And in certain areas, I'm just going to add some strokes of that. Just kind of here and there. Just adding some more layers just where I feel like I want a little bit more color saturation, or if I feel like the paint's too thin in that one area in particular. All right. Clean that brush off good. Go ahead and use some white. Now I'm going to add some white kind of along those areas. Add a little here and there. Just playing around with it. I'm not doing the same exact thing everywhere. I'm kind of just playing around with it. Take a step back like always. Oh, wow, I'm liking that. And here I am going to add just little teeny, you know what? No, I'm going to use a pastel, more of a pastel mint green. Usually I add some shadows with black, but since we've got so much black going on, I don't really know if I want to add some black into the emerald, but I probably will anyway. So just white and a little bit of green. There we go. To make a nice kind of pastel green. We're going to be really light with this color. We're going to kind of use it the same way we did the white. I'm going to kind of put it in the areas where I put that white. I don't want to cover up where I put the white. I just want to kind of add some more color to those areas. So like this green will help it stand out even a little bit more. I am going to add just little teeny tiny touches of black up in there, and then that's it. I keep saying that, but I mean it now. That's going to be it for today. And I'm just going to kind of add touches. If you guys have been subscribed to me for a little while now, then you know I'm kind of random with how I do my shadows and my highlights when I do things a little bit more free flowing like this. I am going to get started with doing some more still life or more technical tutorials, but as for today, I just wanted to have a little bit more fun, and I think I'm done. I like that. I think that looks good. I'm excited about my emerald. Hopefully someone will give me one for my birthday. My birthday is May 14th. Just putting that out there, just so everyone knows. But here we have it today. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did enjoy this painting tutorial and you enjoyed painting along with me and learning new techniques, please make sure that you like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Comments are definitely welcome. If you have any suggestions for any ideas or any painting tutorials or techniques that you want to learn or see or anything like that, please go ahead and comment below. And as I mentioned before, all of these pieces are available for purchase. So if you want to purchase one of my original pieces like this, then just send me an email at Kicherra@gmail.com. That's linked below. Also, I have been working really hard on getting my website situated. We should be good to go by the end of this week. So hopefully by Friday, you guys can go ahead and see what all I've got available. But once that's all up and running, you guys will be able to purchase prints and other merchandise that is featuring my artwork as well. And I am a resident artist at a local paint and sip art studio here in South Carolina that's close to Charlotte and the surrounding areas. So if you would be interested in coming and painting with me in person, I have the website information linked down below for the art studio. The calendar's on there is updated. You can go ahead and sign up for all that good stuff so you can come and paint with me. And we are getting ready for a Mother's Day brunch that we're going to hold on Mother's Day. I'm actually going to come up with a custom piece for you guys for that. I have not decided yet what I want to do. Like I keep saying, as an artist, I usually come up with random ideas. It has not come to me yet, but when it does, I will let you guys know. I will share it with you and let you know when it's all ready and set up for you guys to start booking your Mother's Day brunch painting tutorials with me. All right, well, I think that is it for today. Again, I want to say thank you all so much for joining me, all your support and encouragement. It really means a lot to me. It just keeps giving me motivation to just continue to keep going and learning. And I'm learning and growing and developing as I'm helping you guys. So like I said, as an artist, I'm always continuing learning, growing, wanting to see new techniques, how I can implement new and different things. So until next time, I will see you guys later. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for staying and painting with me. Please send me pictures of your paintings. I want to see them. If you paint this, I want to see it. I want to see your variation and how you made it your own. So please share with me. Please comment, like, subscribe, and join me next time.